What's up, guys? Welcome to Wedding Pros. My name is Jared, and today we're coming to you from Las Vegas, WPPI, and we have a very special guest on the podcast, Daniel Kudish from Montreal, Canada. If you don't know Daniel, if you haven't heard of him before, he runs a great company called the Image Salon, which is retouching and outsourcing for photo editing. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's great. You guys, this setup is way more professional than what I was expecting.
You thought we were just going to hang out in a closet.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh, this is real. Cool.
I mean, probably one of our biggest passions besides photo and video is hotel lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
I think hotels are one of my favorite things in the world. So.
You know what? I love hotels.
Me too.
You arrive and you don't have to worry about cooking, cleaning, anything.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
It's so peaceful.
This is just a little, I hate Airbnbs. I hate Airbnbs. I just love hotels. I just love exactly what you said. I don't have to, I call a person, hey, there's trash, please pick it up.
Yeah.
I just love this, a trip is stressful. Mm-hmm. When you're staying at the place, I don't want it to be stressful or awkward or anything.
At the same time, though, value, and especially if you're traveling with family, Airbnb is the way to go.
I totally get it.
I love Airbnb for certain things, but right now it's just my wife and I, and just want to chill. Hotel room is the way to go.
I'm totally willing to do it. I'm not too good to do it, but I wish I didn't ever have to. That's all I'm saying.
I always tell my wife, I'm like, a hotel is the only place where I can feel like James Bond.
Yes.
I like to walk in and someone to be like, sir, can we grab your bags? I'm like,
By the way,
yes, this feels amazing.
We haven't even mentioned this. We're at the Delano in Las Vegas, and it's an incredible hotel.
It is a very nice hotel.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like a 5-star hotel inside of a casino, not a 5-star hotel with a casino.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just so tranquil and awesome, and they've been really great. So thanks for having us.
This is
Delano.
our first time to Vegas, and I think I was just I really don't know what to expect at all. I expect to be exhausted because it's just we have so much to do, but being here, I'm like, this is actually really, it's like an oasis. It's
I love Vegas. If you take it at face value, you don't think about too much how weird of a place it is.
Yeah, very
and
weird.
you just
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's a really great place.
Yeah, we took a little stroll down the strip last night, and it was actually
a lot stroll.
Yeah, a lot stroll down.
We went
the
all the way down to the very end.
Oh wow.
And
that's amazing.
And it was actually way nicer than I thought. I thought there would be kind of that. You expect it, going down and being
trash
there's
blowing down the road,
the people. But I was like, this is way nicer than I thought it was gonna be.
It's one of the number one entertainment cities in America, and that's not by accident. So
Totally.
So let's talk a little bit about you, Daniel.
Sure.
So you got started as a creative, as a photographer. So and then you transitioned. Over time, I'm assuming, and now you're just doing full time, retouching.
That's right.
And all and culling and all that stuff for other photographers. Kind of, how did that journey go? When did you just oh no, I'm gonna move fully into this other thing?
So we started the Image Salon in 2014, so a little over 5 years ago. And at the time, we ourselves were looking for a place to outsource our work. And we tried, a few companies out there, and no one asked us about our preferences. They just made samples, and we got it back, and it wasn't the way that we wanted to do it. And so that's the main part of the equation. The other part is that Davina and I were educating quite a bit in the industry, and post-production was really one of our strong suits. So some photographers reached out to us and asked if we could, help them with their post-production. And with our frustration, we're like, if we're going to do it, we're going to assign an editor to the photographer so they have a, close relationship and they can really match the style to the photographer, unlike what we just experienced. And so that's kind of how we, started the idea and the business.
So talk about that now, because I think that's probably a question that a lot of photographers have out there, probably listening to the podcast, is maybe they've worked with a person in the past or whatever. Mm-hmm. So say I'm a photographer and I need some help with my post-production. Yeah. I reach out to you guys. Yeah. Do I get assigned my own editor that I have a relationship with, that we can kind of build my specific look?
Right. Yeah, so most of our clients have a profile set up with us. We offer express options as well, where you don't work with your own editor if you just want something clean and quick. But over 80% of our clients have a profile set up. So once they open an account, they'll schedule an onboarding call. It's about 30, 45 minutes over a screen share. We'll ask them a lot of questions, see how they edit their photos, prepare samples for them at the same time, basically set up their profile. And then they place their first order. We introduce them to their editor or retoucher, depending on the service they want. And off they go. So today, like, we have some photographers been working with their editor for 4 or 5 years now. So the relationships are real. Like, it's
it's really fascinating because, you know, you look at that part of the industry and it's really thriving. It's growing. There's a lot of you know, editing studios like
that's right,
like you guys, and probably ranging in quality and value.
Yeah.
But no matter what, there's a huge demand for this, you know.
There is.
And why do you think, if somebody's like thinking, oh, it would save me time, but I don't want to let go of that creative control. You know, I'm not comfortable. Oh, I feel like I'm ripping my clients off by not doing it myself. Kind of talk that person out of that and into what you guys are doing over at your
Well, we
studio.
encouraged those people to do, and we were like this too. Like, so we finished shooting last year, but while we were shooting and outsourcing as well, we kind of experienced that same thing. What we tell photographers, or what we encourage them to do, is keep your favorite images. 20, 30, 50, 100 images, whatever that number is. Take those. You're going to enjoy editing them because they're your favorite ones, and it's like one at a time, and, you know, you put your artistic touch on it. But the other 500 to 1,000, like, you're going to go crazy, and you're going to fall in love with, you know, that shoot, and you're not going to want to edit every single image. And your clients, they don't know any different, right? If it's you who edited them or someone else, as long as it looks, you know, on
and
brand.
It's not a disservice to the client because,
No.
like, we have employees that edit our films.
Sure.
And I don't edit the film, but I approve the edit.
Totally.
And so it's really, here's what I love about your business model. And I'm probably, like, I love the question you asked, Jared, because it's like, it's really a partnership.
It is.
Yeah. I think of, you know, a ton of different people that could use your service. Like, there's probably a range of different types of people out there. I think it's pretty important because usually I can imagine there's a certain person that's like, I need these photos edited. Like, I'm getting really backed up now, like October, November. You're like, shoot, like,
that's when we get the emails.
18 weddings, you know, and you know, I might send an email over to Image Salon, and at that point, I don't have a relationship with you guys. Like, I can only imagine, like, starting that relationship early before you get to that point, and like, we talked a little bit about it before. Like, if you're a creative and you want to have a very successful business, you should be expecting to hire someone to outsource at some point. So, like, starting a relationship with the Image Salon early is probably a pretty great idea.
It's a great point. Like, now the winter, like when you're shooting less, that's the best time to sign up and get started. And so that when you're starting to shoot in April, May, or June, whenever the season starts, you're ready to go, and you kind of get into a flow, you know, if you send one shoot, goes well, second, 3, 4, 5, and come October, you're not backed up, and you just go through your season, and that's it.
I can say from experience with working with employees that, which I think to some people feels more pure than working with a company that you're paying for, and I would say, like, it's no different. Like, every employee that we have will do it not the way I want it right away. And then over time, it gets better and better and better and better. And so it's just like my communication skills, all that stuff need to improve, of course. But at the end of the day, so how do people, like, talk about helping someone define their style and like what that relationship looks like? Because if somebody, like, I know for some of the people listening, photographers, like, this idea of, like, partnering with someone to create, not just get work done, not just do retouching, not just, but ultimately, like, you're really partnering. I mean, is this how you guys see it?
You're part of the brand. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Some clients come to us, they've been editing a certain way for the last however many years. They know exactly what to do, and they pass on the information. That's great. Like, it works super well. Like, can't deny it. But some other photographers, either they're a little bit newer, so they haven't fully developed their style, or they're going through a transition. And so they come to us, and they really need help defining that style. And so we'll ask them for inspiration. We'll ask them what they like, what they don't like, and, you know, provide different types of samples and keep fine tuning. You know, obviously, if the photographer can't make their decision like, I like this, I don't like this. Like if they're undecisive, it might not work super well for outsourcing. But for the most part, we can find a place. Like we've edited over 20 million photos today. Like we've seen it all, and like we know how to achieve. Like you show us a photo, we know how to achieve it.
Yeah. So. I would say like out of all the things that I do well and don't do well, I would say photo editing, I do perfectly fine. I'm not a great photo editor, so like working with somebody who's like does it 40 hours a week.
That's right.
Yeah. You know what you like, but you don't always know how to do it.
Yeah, it's like, this is what I want. I want it to feel more, a ton of people out there want it to feel more light and airy. I want to feel dark and moody, whatever it is. Yeah. I want my contrast to be more, but finding something that actually works. I feel like I have an image in my head a lot of times, and it's just like I can't quite get it to look like film, for goodness sakes. Like, how do I actually make this look like real film?
And there's so many parameters that go into achieving the right look, and
totally.
like Lightroom, just all the panels, it's over 100 different settings that you can adjust, and you do one, and it affects the other, and so it's just like anything else. Like you have to be an expert in it to really, know how to achieve the results.
Totally.
You know what I've noticed? We talk about this on the other side, like about filmmakers not knowing how to pose, right? Because they don't start posing. They're usually a camera op somewhere,
That's right?
But the posing at the end of the process, it's actually easier for filmmakers to hand off things because they're used to working in teams and they're used to specializing, and like it's very normal for them to not do everything.
Yeah. Photographers are solo.
They're solo.
Totally.
Like they have there's ego attached to it. There's like clout and like all the stigmas, but then there's also like habits. They've just never done it, right? I just see that all the time, and it's so interesting to me. Like that, like on the front end, it's a strength. I think like the fact that you know everything and do everything, it means that like I think photographers can much more easily create and define a really interesting style. Yeah. And but on the tail end, in terms of a business strategy, like I think it actually becomes a weakness when you have irreplaceable person syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's like everything has to go through one person. It's like, so scale is really important to us as a business. We shoot about 120 weddings a year, and scale is really important to us. We don't think about anything until we think, can it scale? How do we encourage the photography community to create great art, personal art, like that you stand behind? I'm not saying everyone should run a big studio and do all this, but at the same time, have an eye on scale.
No. How do they do?
How do we do this? How do we change the world?
That's the question, right?
I mean, if I can be super honest, I think there are so many photographers, it's impossible for the entire industry to do that. Yeah, I think the ones who are able to do it and who will have that mindset are the ones who are going to stand out in time.
I think so too, and I mean, the good thing about a marketplace is like there's always someone willing to pay a lot of money for the best. So if you're the best, you can do whatever you want pretty much, as long as you're the best. Yeah. But there's also always someone willing to pay, get a good price for not the best.
Yeah.
And it's like you can make money on all of that, right?
So I mean, once you define your art, okay, it's good, but it's not the best, and I'm happy with that, and that's what I want to scale. Then focus on other parts of the business that will allow you to scale. Customer service, number one thing. It's if you provide excellent customer service, your clients are going to refer you, and they're going to have good experiences, and they're going to talk about that. Yeah. The value of the experience itself is so important, and I think in many cases it can go further than the art itself.
I think it's just funny. Like most photographers, I don't know a single photographer who wants to edit more. I know a lot of photographers who are like, I want to edit way less. Like, I don't know any photographers that are like, if only I could just have someone else shoot for me and I could do the editing.
To take all these darn photos.
But you know what? You're talking to me, and your statement said it sort of assumes that I'm the one editing, but I don't actually edit, which is the equivalent of a photographer who needs to outsource. I don't outsource because we have employees, but I don't manage the cues. I don't do the editing. I work on the business and I grow it. And yes, it's a big operation, but it can apply to a photographer who's trying to get their business, to scale. Like you should think as a business owner and as a CEO and focus on scaling and growing the business, not operating it.
I just think I always want to do more the thing that I'm really good at, and that's working with people and like shooting. And if I can essentially fire myself, like everything that we do is like I want to fire myself from like we just hired an office admin this year, and she is like every time we hire just a great it took way too many years to hire an office admin.
Don't make that mistake.
But like we're at the point now where it's like, such a relief. Like I love these people.
And when you find the right people and it's just a good fit, like it feels so good.
Totally. It's a relief. Like, and you just see so many people that are like, I want to spend more time with my family and make more money. How can I do that? A lot of times, like people are like, well, charge more. The obvious answer is charge more. Yeah. We're always like, do more work and find better people to work with.
That's right.
Because then you can make more money. Scale and then also spend more time with your kids.
And both are super valid ideas. If you're charging $15,000 a wedding and you're working 20 weddings and you're outsourcing it all and you're traveling in a boat all the rest of the other time, great.
All those
invite me along, by the way.
Photographers on yachts.
But like whatever you want to do, like that's awesome. That's probably not most people. Probably not most people are going to have the context to even do that.
Right.
But like, the other thing you can do is you can really grow a brand. And actually, I was going to say this. I love your branding.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful, and I think it tells a story about what the experience is going to be like, right? It's tactile. Mm-hmm. It's a classic. It's not digital feeling at all, and I think I'm assuming that's intentional, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's started sort of as a basic concept. Like we like the whole hands and like having a tailored approach. That's kind of how we approached it. But over time, it has developed just because that was like always the core value of the business, was having this like very personal, high touch approach, and I think it has transpired into like all of our branding and our presentation. Like we're very consistent with that message.
Talk a little bit. I'm gonna sound like a wedding client, but what's turnaround time look like for you guys? Because I'm sure people at home are like. Yeah, but it's going to take 4 months or whatever. No. Talk to me about that.
So in most cases, it's actually faster than, the photographer will do it themselves.
Yeah, I believe
you. So for Lightroom toning, if you have a profile, it's 5 to 10 business days, which is a little bit longer than most of our competition. Yep. But it's because the editor has, 12 to 15 clients that they need to manage. Mm-hmm. And if everybody sends orders at the same time, then it can take up to the 10 business days. Mm-hmm. The question that a lot of viewers are probably wondering, what if I have 80 weddings a year? How do you guys handle that? So we'll often assign multiple editors to the same account. They work together, make sure things are consistent, and keep the turnaround still within the 10 business days.
You're charging per image?
We charge per image. There are no monthly fees. There's no minimum commitment. There's just no fees. You just pay by the image. Yeah. That's awesome. We always believed in like keeping things simple and transparent, and not trying to screw over anybody with anything. Like if you want to send us 10 images a year, we don't love it, but
I was gonna say,
but we'll do it.
I'll send you one image a month.
We have some clients,
and then I'll keep going, Mike. It's not quite there.
Yeah, we have a few clients. They send us 5 images like per wedding, just because they want us to put those touches.
Yeah,
on it.
That's fine. So I have an interesting story that Jay is gonna laugh at. So if I have a client who's like, this photo is not straight, and I want kind of more advanced photoshopping done.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that something that
Yeah,
Image
so
Salon
last
can do
year
kind
we launched the Photoshop retouching service.
Cool.
And to answer your turnaround question, on Photoshop retouching is 24 hours
Okay.
turnaround, so that's really quick.
Yeah.
And so within that realm, we offer either a few express options. So if you know exactly what needs to be done, it fits our predetermined selections. It varies from $2 to $5. Or we can set up a profile for you.
Awesome.
It doesn't need to be more expensive. We'll just set a custom price for you with a specific list of items that we look for.
That's awesome.
And you get charged the same price.
So those ridiculous clients that will ask for impossible things with Photoshop?
Sure. Familiar.
Yeah. Like, I liked my this was on video, so it's even more impossible. I don't like that the sky was gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you make it blue? Yeah.
He was like, can you make it blue? Or like, the sky was gray. It was totally overcast.
This is like the most photographer, videographer story.
Everybody's had that person.
Totally.
Can you make me 40 pounds lighter?
No.
Like, that's not on the table.
Honestly, if it's within the realm of possibilities, we'll do it.
Yeah.
If it's not possible, we say no. And there's a lot of power to saying no to things.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah. I love saying no.
Me too. It's my favorite.
It's a very powerful feeling.
Oh, yeah.
I think even just saying, like, Actually, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, I could not do it. It's not that I will not do it. It's I can't do it. Do you ever feel like if there was one thing you wanted to let photographers know about their shooting that would make their editing better, what would you tell them?
I think just mastering lighting and composition and how to photograph moments. Like, once you get those elements really working together, then post-production is there to enhance, the final results. It's not going to save an image that wasn't shot well. So, if you're having trouble achieving the results that you want to see, I think learning more about how to take the photo as opposed to how to make it look a certain way in post-production.
I have a sense, and I don't know if this is at all true, but maybe because actually you would know, and maybe you can even tell me. I have a sense that like in the last 5 years, that photographers have become way more technically sound because of the wealth of just free good content. Like, is that true?
Technical, yes.
Technically,
yes. But when it comes to understanding light, which is technical, but also,
well, light's
artistic.
kind of like organic.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
a thing that lives and breathes, and so I think that
the
it's
purely
harder to
technical is
train.
like learning how to use the camera, which I agree. There's a lot more knowledge out there, and cameras are more advanced, so they help you out a lot more. But knowing how to work in different lighting conditions and how to adjust very quickly, which is really the tricky part about weddings, is you'll go from like a dark corner, and then the next minute you're like in bright sunlight.
Totally.
And you don't want to miss moments. Like Bride could be hugging her dad like in the kitchen where it's like ISO 2000, and then she steps out in the balcony to go into the limo, and it's ISO 50, and you have to know how to go from that to that in a matter of a few seconds, and that's where things get really tricky.
I want to take this conversation, take a total left turn.
Please.
What do you think of the other solution or alternatives to Photoshop and Lightroom that are out there right now? Have you dove into that world at all, like Capture One or something along those lines?
We've tried Capture One, and it's always on our radar as potentially implementing. Is it going to scale?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
and
we
getting the whole team.
if we're going to spend like hundreds
of
of hours like learning the software and creating workflows so that we're efficient, are we going to be able to scale it, and is it going to be worth it?
Sure.
And we're kind of exploring that. Capture One is definitely like the closest second.
Yeah. Seems to be it.
Other ones we're not looking at. We always have our eye out, on technology.
So you guys don't use Aperture?
Is that still around?
Paint? No paint?
Okay, so I kind of loved Aperture.
Yeah, I liked it too briefly when it came out, like 2002 or something.
Yeah, back in the olden days, and when they got rid of it, because it just did certain things that like were super easy.
Yeah.
Like we would sometimes just like if a client didn't want to pay any money for a book, we just order a book.
Yeah.
Right from there, I was like, that's awesome feature. But yeah, it's gone. Rest in peace. What's funny is I'll still see people in groups be like, I love Aperture. I miss it. Out of nowhere, I'll just see a random person talk about how much they like Aperture.
Yeah, I think Adobe's,
All the soccer moms were devastated.
it has its issues. Like let's not.
I just don't get the complaints though. I'm like, come on, it's software.
It's such
breaks.
a powerful software, honestly. Yeah. Like it can do so much, and you can build workflows to go so quickly.
Mm-hmm. And you can get behind the scenes too and do even more if you want. You can you can even get into like the actual like script
in the
SDK
and
change it all, and if you know what you're doing. And I actually really love the direction. It's not great yet, and I don't know if it's ever going to be for like pros with high volume, but like the idea of that they're doing with the CC version, that it's like this cloud-based idea.
Yeah.
Now, given I don't like that they're trying to make so much money off of me with it. It's just, it's like ridiculously unscalable. Like the cost of their storage is so out of whack with the market.
Okay.
Like if you want to if you're like, I'm out of space. It's like 1 terabyte. You got to pay them like $100 more for a normal, and it's like I can go $4.99 and buy that on Google Drive. But that being said, the idea of having all your images, like you can just be on the fly and be like, I'm going to edit these images. And you just edit the same exact raw on your phone.
Yeah, I use it for like personal stuff. I'll load it on the computer, back it up to our drive or servers, whatever, but then pick out the images I want to edit, throw them into Lightroom CC, and then on my iPad on the go.
Yeah. I hope that they do figure out the cost of that storage, because it's a real pain. And like you fill up your storage, you can't like find how to delete it off your computer, but not delete it.
Seems like an easy problem to solve.
Yeah, I hope they figure that out.
Let us in there for.
Yeah,
the customer service side seems like a very long and hard road that they have to.
Yeah.
Well, but it's like this idea
That's
of
the
like
other complaint, I think.
Oh yeah, Adobe thing. I think the idea though of like Like I just love storage. I don't know why. Like I'm always
He
like
does love storage.
You're a videographer.
And
makes
yeah,
sense.
that's honestly.
well, it just
the
terabyte,
true
no problem.
nerd.
it's what it lets it's what it lets me do.
Yeah.
It's like what it does for my life. How
Right.
much happier it makes me when everything just works.
Yes.
Like when I'm like clicking on, it's
very
like
satisfying.
and it's like spinning up, and I have to let the thing render. It's just like all that stuff.
But when you have a good workflow and things are backed up, and you're like, even if my house burns down, like
Yes.
I'll know I have my
It's
stuff.
so zen.
It's very satisfying.
It's so zen, and I think the idea of like where we're headed with cloud computing,
Yeah.
and where we're headed with cloud storage and that integration across every platform, and your phone being your computer and your computer being your tablet. It's like that's where we're all headed.
Absolutely.
That's where it's all going to
Yeah.
be. Like it could be to the point where like literally you're sharing a library with your editor,
Yeah.
and you can go into the exact same library and do edits at the
Totally.
same time. It's like that's where we're all headed. Like my point is only to say, a service like yours is going to become even more personal.
Yeah.
The more technology develops,
Yeah.
because it's like remote office,
Yeah.
whatever. It's you're sharing the same desk with this guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we
like-
see it in the photo industry, like, or even in the wedding industry. You know, there's a need for unification of all the platforms, and 100% the industry is heading there.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I for one welcome our computer overlords.
Yeah.
Like,
That's funny. Yeah.
It needs to live in harmony with the human side.
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't need robots to take over, but I think it can be in unison.
they need to be my robot servants, is what I should say. Like because I need but it's like this idea of like. The more I understand technology, the less I spend with technology.
Sure.
Like we just got a Mac Pro,
Uh-huh.
the cheese grater for
Yeah.
our office, and it's for one particular workflow.
Yeah.
That was really problematic.
Mhm.
It was really ruining the creativity. It wouldn't function. It would
Yeah.
crash, and I'm like, we need to just
Yeah.
invest.
Throw money at the problem.
We need to throw money at
That's
the
it.
problem, and then the
That's
problem
it.
went away. And then I started creating good art again.
Yeah.
And it's like, good technology. You know it's good when you don't remember that you're using it.
Right.
And it's like that's what
It's
we're
very
looking
true.
for. And I think probably the same with a service like yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Once it's part of your workflow and you don't think about it, you're like, shot a wedding, call it,
Yeah.
send it off, get it back, deliver it. Like once you stop thinking about it, then that's
You're just
when
like
it gets
look,
really beautiful.
You're like, look at these photos I did.
Yeah.
You don't go like, look at these photos that,
I spent 40 hours editing.
or even
Yeah.
that the Image Salon did.
Yeah.
It's like I think that's what you're hoping for, and like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm not happy. Obviously, we, and I'll be full disclosure, we don't use the Image Salon. Not because we just don't do enough photo weddings, but we're definitely looking for that. So we'll be calling you guys.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like I know their
not-
reputation. And it precedes them, and I know their work, and I know some other people that use them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think at the end of the day, like, there's this sense of like team
Mm-hmm.
that I see,
Yeah.
and it's like I see it from your brand, and I see it
Yeah.
from what you're delivering.
We try to show like the human side of the office too, because that relationship is so important.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we put a lot of emphasis on showing the people, who are working on the images
Yeah.
and how we run our business, and try to be transparent and tell our story
Yeah.
throughout.
Because I can see photographers kind of having this disconnect with like, I'm totally willing to hire a second shooter because I actually see that person and
Yeah.
I can talk to them about their
Mhm.
wife and kids. But like outsourcing, it's almost like outsourcing to India or
Yeah.
Ukraine or whatever. It doesn't have that same kind of personal thing. So I think
Yeah.
there's like this wall that people have to get over. But it's like seeing that personal
Yeah.
side, knowing that Joe is
That's
editing
right.
my photos. I think that's great. Like
Yeah.
that makes it feel that much better.
I think that's human nature. Like
Yeah,
we want to
totally.
connect, and
Yep.
it carries over into business.
Yep.
It's way easier to work with someone once
Yep.
you have a connection.
Can I ask a question that, at the risk of like, I don't know, I don't want you to unpitch your company.
No, please. I'm an open book. I'll say anything.
So, here's the thing that I always think about. We talk about this with video editing all the time. We say like, you can't be a good editor if you don't shoot, and you can't be a good shooter if you don't edit your footage. Do you think, because I've seen this sometimes where I'm like, this person doesn't even know their stuff anymore because they just literally, they don't pay, they just don't even give a crap. They just
Yeah.
show up, shoot, and they just sit it out. It's just, they're so disconnected from what
Yeah.
they're doing. Do you think people can reach that point, and how do you take like a service like yours, which I think is essential and needed, but also not lose your touch,
Yeah.
not lose your edge, not lose your passion, and not lose even like vision for your look, because you just you know it's going to be good, and you're not even willing to tinker anymore.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to my other answer, which is take your favorite images from each wedding and spend time with those, and it'll keep you refining your style, and as much for post-production as the photography itself. Or outsource every other wedding. Don't outsource every single one. Or if you're just starting, honestly, like photographer who's like in their second year of shooting, you might not be ready for outsourcing yet.
Yeah.
Unless you're really lost and really don't know what you're doing and need help, we'll help you. But I think there's a lot of value to actually spending time with your images and learning. And also, as you edit them and as you cull them, like you learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's the biggest thing that we always say.
I think it's a very important part of the process as a photographer is to see your mistakes and know how to fix them.
And then you can actually have an appreciation for what you're doing too, because you're like, oh my gosh, they fix so many of my problems. They make my life so much easier. It's like
you don't want to get complacent about your photography.
I see you guys on the same level of like we just got a great lawyer and a great accountant in the last 2 years, and I'm like, when you just when you're running your own business, you want to add these team members that just make your life so much easier so you can scale. Like
our team is just out of this world. Like they run this business. Like I'm just here talking about it. Like they're the ones who are running it, and when you find like the right position for the right people, we have some of our management or support staff. They started as editors, and it just wasn't like the right fit. But once we found the right fit in the company for them, like you can see like how much better it is for everybody.
And I think it's really important, like, that you guys were, not only are you editors, but you were practitioners, and you were successve too. You weren't just like, I suck at running a wedding business, and
I'm just gonna edit.
So I'm gonna edit now. And I do think like I've always assumed maybe I'm just cynical. I am cynical, but like I'll hear people and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's running an edit house because he sucked at shooting photos and he couldn't make any money. He was a terrible business person, and that was not true about you. So you can really understand, I think, where like, because obviously you're the leader, or you're one of the leaders, you're setting the culture, right? So I wanted to ask you about that as we kind of come to an end. Like, you're running a business. There are people here who are running anything from one employee to large teams. How does a leader set culture in a creative business?
I think
even just how do you set culture?
Honestly, it's very unintentional. Like nothing should be forced. We try to be kind and fair in everything that we do in business with our clients, with our team, both when we're wedding photographers and now at the Image Salon. And as long as we're true to ourselves and who we are as humans, then it just kind of flows naturally. And it takes time. Like you can't just be like overnight, like, okay,
I want to have an office that's like this.
Yeah, we're going to be this kind of business starting today. Like it just doesn't work that way, Like if you want to make a change, like it needs to kind of flow slowly, and it'll take time for things to get implemented.
And you're looking for team members, though, that fit your identity, right?
Yeah,
fit into that culture. And like what that means, I think, takes time to define, right? Because if you start out, you might say like, oh, I want people that are like this. And down the line, you're like, I was wrong. What I actually enjoyed about the culture was this. And so, I mean, I think if you've ever run teams and you're looking at, because we talk about teams a lot, and we talk about like having a process that's not looking for so much types of people, but looking for just the character traits that are more universal. Like, are they hardworking? Do they treat people with respect?
We want to work with good people. Like, life is too short to spend a lot of time with assholes. It makes such a difference. It's so funny that we were talking about this, because last night I was having dinner with the 4 people, who are here. That's for the show, and we're just sitting around. We're like, there are no assholes at the studio. Like, we're totally asshole free. We just, like, everybody is great, And that's kind of like that bit of culture. Like, we've done it not on purpose. Like, it's very natural, but it's all good people, and it makes a big difference.
It's almost like when you just have good people, you almost just reject and push out the a-hole. Like, it's just like they don't fit here. Like, and a lot of times, like, we've had people work with us that I wouldn't even categorize as like the a-hole, but like, they're just not a good fit. And they just naturally kind of like move on
Totally.
or fall
They
away. And
grow
it's just
out.
yeah, they go on to do their own thing, and that's great. But like you said, you have to have that kind of defined over a long period of time. So that's important.
It is
find
so
your
important,
values early. Yeah.
I would say too, as your team grows, at first, I think more and more and more, it's kind of the Wild West. And it's just, I think, actually important.
Yeah,
To have
starting a business is scrappy. You know,
man.
like it's a lot. But once you get things going and you understand your business and what you're trying to achieve, like now, like doing new projects or implementing new things, it's almost easy because we just like know how we function and what works and what doesn't.
And that brings us back to editing.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the same as I think, right? You start out, you suck, you don't know what
it's a
you're
mess.
doing.
Yeah.
It's basically Stepia or something,
Yeah.
right? And you're just like, maybe this is cool. Maybe this is cool. You
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing. And it's like, so I just want to say, like, if you're listening to this, that's where you are. My encouragement is you don't need to just jump on if you feel like you're failing at something, you might need to keep failing at it.
Yeah.
That's what your best.
It's like that for anything in life. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Any new hobby you want to pick up, any new skill you want to learn, you're gonna suck and it's gonna be awkward at 1st.
Grind. Yep.
What is it? I think it's a 4-hour work week. He talks about just like the goal is to become good enough at something that then you fire yourself.
Yeah.
You don't fire yourself when you're
on
not
day
good
one.
at it. You're like, I'm terrible at this. I'm fired. It's like, and I think that would be my advice. I like anytime I'm considering outsourcing something, it's because I'm really good at it and I need to either fire myself and that I hire someone or fire myself that I outsource it. But like, I think when I know exactly what I want to see, that's a great time to start outsourcing because I can go focus on other things.
You know how to achieve it too, so you know how to pass it on.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
So I think, hey, if you're listening to this, first of all, where can everybody find you?
So our website is imagesalon.com. Once you get on there, you just open an account. You'll get an invite to schedule an onboarding call, and we'll go from there.
Are you good?
We're pretty good.
So that's my big question.
Image Salon. We're pretty good.
Are you good at editing?
You know what? We're only as good as our clients let us be. Like, if they don't know where to go and they're confused, we're going to be confused too.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
I mean,
that's what I see.
Yeah.
Of being hard running a company like yours. It's just like people are like, well, make it more warm. And they're like, oh, make it more cool. And it's like, that would drive me nuts.
there's an element of letting go, like the
Yeah.
the clients who spend, hours tweaking for 200 Kelvin, here and there. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I totally respect being a perfectionist.
Yep.
But it's unrealistic to expect that of
Totally.
your editor to kind of, there's always going to be like a little 10% of subjectivity.
Yeah.
And if you want to spend a couple hours fine tuning, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
But just have like realistic expectations.
Sure. Daniel, do you like hockey at all?
God, I love hockey.
Yeah. We're from Boston. So
Oh God,
we're
I hate you
automatically
guys. I
Bruins
hate you
fans.
guys so much.
I love that you hate us, and I love to
But
hate
I
you.
love hockey.
It's
Why
so-
would you
How
hate
could
the
you not?
Canadians?
How
though?
could you not?
Because
like
you're
hockey?
always like diving and stuff.
You're always like cross-checking in the neck a couple weeks ago.
That sounds about right.
I would
I'll
say
totally
no,
admit to that.
but yes, no, true. That does
We're
happen.
the big bad Bruins,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I would
It's
say
such a fun rivalry. Like, there's
It
nothing
is.
like a Montreal, like
It is.
Habs Bruins Saturday night
Yeah.
hockey game. It's just
I
so much
think in some ways it's the most underrated rivalry in sports because there's
I agree.
real hatred,
totally.
especially
like-
between the teams.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's on the team too. Like, you just
I don't know how it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
always end up doing something basically illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard for me because like I like watching the Bruins and I'm like, yeah, like I'm a sports guy, so I like rivalry, but I'm like, I don't think I could ever hate a Canadian ever in my life. Like I don't think I ever could.
Like
Yeah,
Canadian.
Canadian
No.
person.
Never.
You know what I love
We're
about
tr-
like
we're pretty nice.
every time I think about Canada, I think about that movie Canadian Bacon.
I don't think I've seen
It's
that.
this terrible movie. It's a John Candy movie, but there's a scene where they go to Canada and they have this
Yeah.
they have this truck and like somebody
right.
spray painted it. It's like Canada sucks. We hate
Right.
Canada and all this stuff. The Mountie, who's played by Dan Aykroyd, pulls him over and he's like, I'm not gonna try to do a Canadian accent out of respect, but he's like, do you see something wrong with this? He's like, you're in Quebec. We have to translate this to French
That's
too.
funny.
And he makes them spray paint all the
very
insults
accurate
in
as
French,
well.
and then they leave.
Yeah, that's funny.
I just saw that the other day for the first time. I think.
Oh, I
it's a short
love that
YouTube
scene.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
Hey, man, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you guys for
Yeah.
having me. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah, hopefully we give you like 1 million more clients, and you have to scale
We'll
your
take it.
business, figure it out. Hey guys, be sure to subscribe. Check us out. We got some more WPPI content. We're gonna be on the trade floor a little bit and doing some stuff like that. And hey, just check it out, and because you don't want to miss this stuff, because we've got some pretty cool stuff going on. Have an awesome day, guys.